Hello, I'm Juino D'Souza, and today we are going to discuss everything about COVID-19. We are going to dissect this coronavirus inside out, and we have a very eminent panel with us here, comprising of government personnel, because today we are going to grill the government of Goa. Are they prepared to deal with this pandemic? Why there is this rising cases of COVID in Goa? What about the COVID vaccination? How efficacious it is? What about the side effects, the adverse reactions? And what about the standard operating procedures? Are they in place? Are we maintaining social distancing? Are we wearing masks? What about the crowding and the tourist influx? And to talk all this, we have with us Dr. Shivanand Bandekar. Hardly needs any introduction, a very renowned orthopedic surgeon. Dr. Bandekar is the dean and also the medical superintendent of the Goa Medical College. It's a huge government institution funded by the people of Goa and with a huge budget. So we are going to grill him as to how the Goa Medical College is helping to curb this COVID-19 cases. We have with us Dr. Zuzaid Isa. Dr. Zuzaid Isa is supposed to be the Director of Health Service, a very big directorate. It has under its wings the primary health centers, the urban health centers, the community health centers, the district hospitals and what have you. They are also in charge of this immunization and the COVID vaccination program. We have the additional collector and the additional district magistrate, Naran Gad. We brought him here specially to ask him, as is the district administration now very proactive in controlling and curbing this COVID which is rising in Goa? And let's get started. My first question to you, Dr. Bandekar, is, there is a public grievance that whenever there is a case of COVID and when the relatives take this COVID patient to the Goa Medical College, nobody looks at him. He hardly gets a bed. He's, pushed out here and there. The moment you say COVID, everybody's scared, everybody's nervous. He's treated as an outcast, and as a result of this, he's just shuttling between pillar and post. There have been incidences where even a medical practitioner was kept on stretcher for 2-3 days without treatment. What have you got to say on this?
To be very frank, I welcome all the viewers, and I'm here to clear all your doubts which are existing in the minds of general public. Let me tell you, when COVID came to Goa, it was a scary message to everybody. In fact, each one thought looking at the COVID patient, he would get a COVID. There was a time when people wouldn't walk outside GMC campus thinking that virus will come out and attack them. So when such a social problem was there, it was not only the medical problem. GMC and the Goa Medical College was the first institute to start COVID ward. That was 113 ward, which had 40 beds with all SOPs as given to us by the central government. So accordingly, we had designed the ward. We had later on added 11 more wards, so that we could raise our capacity to almost 500 beds in Goa Medical College. Our non-COVID work also suffered. And as you said, some patients got delayed in treatment. But why? What would happen? Suppose if I get 40 patients per day, 50 patients per day for admission. I remember those days when we used to close down one ward, ophthalmology closed today. Where ophthalmic patients will go? But we closed. We gave those 30-35 beds to COVID patients. ENT ward closed. We gave that ward because these areas we could convert them to COVID overnight. Skin ward was closed. And in the whole confusion, it was not only in Goa Medical College. You see KM Hospital, you see AIMS Hospital. Everywhere there was flooding of patients. So in that, I don't deny, in that, maybe one or two patients got late beds, and this medical person was given a bed, but he said he would like to go in private hospital, that is Victor Apollo, and then we hardly kept him for 6 to 8 hours. But it went out as a wrong message. But let me assure now people of Goa and the common man of Goa that the second wave is on. We are totally prepared. If you find any problem in getting a bed, you can directly call me, and I have a team whose numbers I will be giving in a advertisement in a newspaper, which numbers to contact. So this time we are more prepared, we are more systematic, and we'll take care of you.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well spoken, well spoken. Dr. Bandekar has spoken from his heart, and I think this is very right. If you can have a dedicated cell, where somebody phones up that cell and the patient or the relative comes to know that yes, there is a bed vacant, please come at so and so time, we will attend to you, and so that he feels happy, not that he goes to the hospital and then he's shuttling about. Now, Dr. Disa, you are in charge of the Directorate of Health Services, and there is this vaccination program going on. Now, there are lots of complaints. One is, they say that the vaccine is not very, very efficacious. They say there are a lot of adverse reactions and side effects. The women are very reluctant to take this vaccine because it is contraindicated in pregnancy, and so on and so forth. Coronary artery cases, the patients there also, they say that we may die of maybe a heart attack, sudden heart attack. What have you got to say on this COVID vaccination and the side effects? And do you have sufficient COVID vaccines now that you are conducting this Tika drive and taking this vaccination program to the village areas, the panchayat areas? Do you have such huge stock of COVID vaccine?
Now, this is a vaccine which is supplied to state of Goa. Is a Covishield vaccine. It is a well-tested vaccine. It is tested by ICMR. It is approved by the Drug Control of India. It is approved by the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. It is a well-tested on field, this vaccination, and this has been given to many of the states. The other one is Covaxin, which is given to some states. But we have got Covishield. Both are equally good, equally effective, and there are some misunderstandings that there can be some reactions and all. But to tell you frankly, we have given in Goa almost 138,000 people have been vaccinated, and all the people have taken it very safely. Now, there might be one or two cases here coming out with reaction. That is bound to happen with any medicine that you use or any vaccine that you use. But it is safely used. The side effects are very, very less. The next day after vaccination, you might get a mild fever, a mild body ache, but there is no major side effects. People have well accepted it. But of course, still, sorry to say that people are not coming forward to do the vaccine. I mean, the response is not so good, and that's the reason we are going for this Tika Utsav. We have tried, we have gone to the villages, we have tried all our means, and now under the Tika Utsav, we are going down to the grassroots level to mobilize the people. Of course, we have to follow the guidelines which are given by Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. And right now, what we are focusing is 45 plus. We started with healthcare workers, then we went for the frontline workers, then we went for 60 plus, and also 45 to 59 with comorbid conditions. But now we are opening up, it has been opened now to 45 plus. So all the population above 45, whether comorbid or otherwise, they can receive the vaccine. The vaccine is very safe, it is well accepted everywhere, and it is very effective. That is and my earnest appeal to everyone to come forward and to take this vaccination of 2 doses.
Okay, very good.
And maybe after 6 weeks you take the second dose.
Yeah. Now, Dr. Bandekar, yes, please.
I would like to add on what director said. I fully agree. They are really doing a good job by giving vaccination. But about effectivity, you said that people are worried whether it is really effective, non-effective. Because there are some incidences, even after the second dose, people have got COVID infection. But let me share with people of Goa and everyone that if you have taken 2 doses, which that formula of first dose, after about 28 days, second dose, that was initial, but now we give after 8 weeks. And that has really worked. But if by chance you get a mutant virus, maybe a COVID infection, this infection will never kill you. That is one point which is very great in vaccination. Plus the symptoms are very mild. So what happens? So what is the basal or the fundamental rule of this vaccination is you are going to give a memory to your immune system that such a virus is going to come in your body. Be prepared. Covishield has got 78% efficacy. So it still leaves a margin of 22% which people can get infection. But those 22% will never have severe infection and there will be no mortality. Let this message go to everybody.
Wonderful, wonderful. Now, Mr. Narayan Bandekar, a question to you. Now, COVID cases are on the rise, as you see in Goa. Many of the bordering states, there is a lockdown. Maharashtra, Karnataka, Delhi, Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh. And now summer vacation is starting. Hordes of tourists are flocking into Goa. The moment they come to Goa, they feel that they are in a different world altogether. So there is no mask, no social distancing. All they do is carry a nice beer bottle and they are happy with it. You see, they say COVID or no COVID. The restaurants are crowded. The beaches are all full. So now the district administration has to put these standard operating procedures in place, SOP. Now, what is the administration doing? Is the police also mobilized? Is your district collectorate staff, on the job to ensure there is no crowding? Recently, there was a taximan's union, big gathering at the Azad Maidan. There was absolutely no social distancing maintained. What do you have to say on this?
First and foremost, at the collectorate, we have a control room which runs 24/7. And any eventuality or any information which is received in the control room is collated, compiled, and appropriate action is taken. As far as grounds are concerned, reality at the ground, in each taluka, we have a task force headed by the deputy collector and SDM there. The entire machinery of the taluka is at the disposal of the deputy collector and SDM. The SDPO there, the health officer there, the other government machinery is there. Now, this constitutes a task force. Now, whenever there is a COVID positive patient, the task force, the health department, the health officer and the deputy collector would do the contact testing. Now, once this contact, and we have given directions to all the deputy collectors, mamlatars and health officials that once a person, COVID tested positive person has been traced, at least 5 of his contacts, immediate contacts, primary contacts or secondary contacts are to be traced. After tracing them, the data is compiled, collected, and again appropriate action of taking appropriate action on those contact details is taken by the task force. Now, as far as you are talking about these social gatherings, recently, 2-3 days ago, we have issued an order under Section 144, wherein we have issued guidelines as to what is the maximum capacity in a closed room, what is the maximum capacity of the participants in the open room. And directions have been given to mamlatars, deputy collectors and the police that these SOPs are to be strictly followed. Let me share that the drive of putting fines on the violators who are not wearing masks or not maintaining social distancing, there is every day the police and the revenue administration, every day they are fining people, they are educating people of the importance of maintaining social distancing, wearing masks, and especially in these last 15 days there has been a massive drive where our state machinery has been on the field asking people to wear the mask wherever required. We are punishing them and putting fines also.
Okay. Now coming to GMC back, Now, with this second wave, as you say, and it's fiercely attacking and cases are on the rise. Now, what about your infrastructure? Is it in place like, you have adequate beds, you have ventilators, you have oxygen, you have sufficient doctors, you follow? Then what about the healthcare workers? Normally what is happening is I've seen that only the health department or the GMC is interested with this job. But what about other government departments? If there's a team, like for example elsewhere, the municipality also gets themselves involved, the panchayat people get themselves involved. You see, the government officials of the other department are also taken on COVID duty. So what happens is you have more personnel to deal with this COVID pandemic. And also I don't know about the South Goa hospital now. They say that it is open now fully. How many bed strength you have at the current, scenario?
Yeah, this Goa Medical College is now much better prepared as far as infrastructure is concerned for the second wave, and as you have seen, it is rising very steep. Now, I would just like to share the system what is working presently in state of Goa. Right now, Goa Medical College takes critical patients. This was my suggestion in one of the expert committee meetings, because Goa Medical College has got super specialty consultants. Like most of the time we saw the comorbidity that was killing the people with COVID was diabetes, and we are the only institute which has got a endocrinology who has the ultimate power to heal the diabetes. So I thought critical patients would be kept in Goa Medical College. Those days we were keeping, and now also we are keeping. We have at present 150 patients admitted right now. Now, coming to South Goa district and ESI, this was also under administrative control of Dean, and that ESI right now we are not occupying because it is converted into COVID care center, but it will be denotified by the collector as the COVID hospital as the cases rise. South Goa district hospital director and myself, we deploy doctors from both the organizations, and we had right now commissioned 150 beds. Now today, just yesterday I had an emergency meeting and we have commissioned another 150, and we have a capacity, he can rightly correct me, of going up to 500 beds, which I think we will get into this mode very soon if the cases rise. Now, you asked me about infrastructure. Yes, when we started first wave, we had only 1 or 2 HFNO, that is high flow nasal oxygen. Because as you know, COVID is nothing but oxygen therapy. And oxygen has to be available everywhere. This is what we made available in GMC also, and now every bed in the South Goa district has an oxygen port. We are using a lot of oxygen because that is the only thing that saves the patient. Coming back to healthcare workers from other departments, so far such arrangements is not existing, but what we have done, we have taken even teaching departments like anatomy, physiology, who don't actually get onto the clinical side or come to OPD to treat patients. These doctors are also mobilized, and we are taking their help because basically they are MBBS, and then they have done MD, MS in anatomy, pharmacology, where they directly don't deal with the patient, but they are given a refresher course sort of what is to be done in COVID cases. And all these doctors, to the tune of about 60, we are utilizing them here and even in the South Goa District Hospital.
That's very good. So non-clinical, subject professors and students are also taken in. Very good and lovely. Now, Dr. Disa, now the government is advocating this, 3 T's they call it. Testing, tracking or tracing, and treating. Now, coming to testing, do you have adequate, testing facility in Goa? Now, I have seen now your RT-PCR test. In Goa, when the private people, especially those Goans who want to go abroad or who come, they go back, they have to do this RT-PCR in a private, clinic, a pathology clinic. 4,000 rupees is charged to them. Whereas in Bombay, the rate is only 1,000 rupees. Now in Bombay at the airports, in Mumbai airport, it's only 400 rupees for an RT-PCR test. Whereas in Goa, the private players, also the government is controlling, they say the rates, it's nothing less than 2,000, 2,500, 1,800, 2,000. So why can there not be a control? If in a state like Maharashtra, it's available for 400, in Delhi it's available for 300, RT-PCR. I'm not talking about the rapid antigen test. Mostly I've seen at most of the primary health centers or community health centers, whenever there is a queue, they do this rapid antigen. And rapid antigen, I'm given to understand, the tests are not so reliable, 100% reliable. So what do you have to say on this?
Another Directorate of Health Services, we have community health centers, district hospitals, sub-district hospitals, and we have got primary health centers and urban health centers. So we have got units, total about 37 units. And at all these units, we do the RAT test, that is rapid antigen testing. Now this kits we use and we give the report there and there. But if they are symptomatic and if they have even if they are negative, then we advocate the RT-PCR test. Now RT-PCR test, we collect the throat swabs at the periphery at all our health centers. Now these swabs are sent to our district hospitals and sub-district hospitals and sometimes to JMC. So there are 5 places where RT-PCR is done. That is North Goa District Hospital in Mapsa, South Goa District Hospital in Madgaon. Then we have got Sub-District Hospital in Ponda, Sub-District Hospital in Chikalim, and Goa Medical College in Pamela. So these samples are referred there, and we do the RT-PCR test. So on an average, we do something called as the number, if you take anything around 2,000 plus 2,500. Sometimes in now these days we have gone up. We even touch 3,000. So we do RT-PCR test and RT test almost to 2,500 on an average per day. And we give the report. The throat swab is collected in the morning. By afternoon they get all the reports. Now, as far as the private sector is concerned, there are many laboratories that have started RT-PCR test. Government has fixed up the rate, capping. It's the capping that is put up by the government. Now, it depends upon what type of technology they use. Either open RT-PCR, conventional RT-PCR, the rates are high there. If you go for the TrueNet machine, TrueNet RT-PCR, the rates are less. So, there are different types of machines that are available, and depending upon the rate, the government has done the capping, and that private hospital cannot cross this capping. Coming to travelers, yes, travelers, there are many people who come to our, and when they go for the certificate for travelers, they have to pay in the government sector as well. They have to pay the whatever fees are there with the collectorate office, and with the receipt, then the throat swab is taken, and the report is given. But the only thing is that when you are traveling, they want it urgently, and we have got other priority also, other patients also there. So that sort of a priority we cannot give, because other testing is, for us, every sample is important. Every sample is a priority sample. But we try to give them as early as possible. The morning the samples are collected, by evening we give the reports. So we do a lot of testing, RT-PCR testing, RT testing, not only in the urban towns, but at the periphery, at the health center level, primary health care level. And when, as Dr. Bandekar has said, when it was a peak time, we even used to go to the periphery, into the villages, to collect the swabs. Throat swabs, and as our additional collector said, we go for the contacts. If we have one positive, we try to, not only the relatives, but we go for almost 30 contacts around. 30 swabs we collect of the people around, or in whom, wherever he has come in contact with other people. And those samples we do, and then we do the contact tracing, and we do the management, and then we put them under home quarantine if they don't have the symptoms. And if they have the symptoms, we say that they go to the COVID center, and if you have a little more symptoms, then we put them under the COVID hospital. Okay. So this is a primary, secondary, tertiary level, that level we do.
Right. So how do you don't admit a patient? You admit it to the district hospital, or you refer them to the GMC?
Yeah,
right. Okay.
When we put the patient cases into the COVID test.
Right. Now at the GMC, when you get a COVID patient, what is the line of treatment? I mean, how you start his treatment, because sometimes it may be a mild case, sometimes it may be a moderate case, it may be a severe case. There have been people who've gone breathless, and within few hours they have passed away, within maybe 2 or 3 days. In such cases, what's a line of treatment?
Now we have all the SOPs in place now. They are standard observed practices. Now somebody who comes with mild symptoms, as you said, fever, symptoms like fever, loss of taste, and if he has got comorbidities like diabetes, hypertension, then we don't allow him to go for home isolation, because he needs monitoring. It is the time that 3 to 10 days is called as a critical period, where you can get that cytokine storm. For those patients, we keep them under observation, and if we find that their saturation is dropping, immediately he is given all the required things. Otherwise, the standard protocol is to give him remdesivir, control his diabetes, control his blood pressure, and also give a small dose of steroid if the CT severity score, because we do a CT scan of these people and we control them on CT scan. This is one group. The second group, which is now we are facing, the people are now thinking that COVID is like any other common cold, which is wrong. And they stay at home with fever, with breathlessness, with change in taste, with diabetes, with hypertension. You imagine, with all this, they stay at home saying denial. They are in a complete denial. I have not got COVID. I'll not go to hospital. Why I should get admitted? And then they get into very severe breathlessness. I am telling you, every week we do death audit. And we try to find out why this person has died. Maximum people have come to us with a CT severity score of almost more than 18 to 20. The denominator is 25. Out of 25, if somebody's score is 20, means what? 80% of lung is involved. There are GGOs, they are called ground glass appearances. So GGOs are those opacities are there everywhere. Nowhere in the world, you go to USA, you go to Spain, you go to Italy, where these are the countries which earlier developed SOPs even in the ICU, intensive care unit. No ICU can save such people. And that is how we lose them. But these patients also, we put them initially on HFNO, non-invasive, so that we can avoid ventilator. But when they don't improve, we intubate them, we put them on ventilator, and now we already have almost 200 ventilators. So there is no shortage of ventilators, no shortage of high flow nasal oxygen or NRM, nasal rebreathing mask, which is one of the best techniques in keeping these patients' saturation normal.
What about, blood thinners? There was this concept, the moment a patient is admitted, COVID patient, they say there is coagulation of the blood, it can lead to clotting. So they would administer also blood thinners. So do you have that?
In our protocol, I forgot to tell you, blood thinners are given for first 4 to 5 days. We give it routinely because one of the biggest clinical observation made in the countries like Spain, that they found that there used to be unexplained clotting in the vessels, and people would go at a stroke, people would get into acute cardiac problem. So we are using blood thinners right from day one for minimum 5 days.
Very good, very good. So if I was to ask you that, the collectorate is the most important agency for controlling this, COVID spread. And there is this public perception that in Goa, the government officers are too scared to implement the standard operating procedures, like, ask people maintain social, because it has a repercussion. It's a small state. Big states, they are coming down very harshly. There are curfews, there are lockdowns, the police are also very strict. So do you think, that it's now time that also the district administration must take cognizance and act very vociferously? Otherwise, this tourist will come. And as you know, I've been reading in the newspapers, there is spread basically because of this outside influx. What do you have to say on this?
The district administration is already on its way.
Okay.
All the measures, whatever are required, are being taken. They were also taken, are being taken. We don't shy away from taking any policy action wherever it is needed. Recently, we had declared one containment zone, an area in Purvani as containment zone. Whenever we get a request or whenever we get an information that in a particular area which has become hotspot or which is likely to become hotspot or epicenter, we seal that area, we contain that area. So all these measures, whichever is required and whatever is required, are in place and are being taken.
Right.
And will definitely be taken.
Very good. Now, Dr. Desai, if I was to ask you, there are only 2 minutes on the show now. What is your message now to the people of Goa, especially who are very reluctant to come to the primary health centers? There are queues, senior citizens, even at the, some of the primary schools which are assisting. They close down at 4 o'clock. Then they say if a vial is open, only we should get 10 patients. We will not open a vial for a single patient because it results in wastage. Then patients get, quite upset. What do you have to say on this?
See, we have to control the wastage also. There is a costly vaccine. And what we do is we talk to the people first and we have a session of about 100 people. We give a pre-planned session of 100 people. Why do we do this pre-planned session is only to see that all the people, all the vials are fully used and there is no waste.
Okay.
So that precautions we take, we talk to the people.
Right.
My only request to the people is that let's not say what the government is doing, what he is doing, or what she is doing. I think individually lets the people individually take a responsibility. It is each one's responsibility. What I am doing to protect myself, what I am doing to protect others. Okay. And take vaccination, come for vaccination, don't spread misunderstandings among the public. Come forward and also mobilize the people if you are in that category 45 plus and take the vaccination. That is a understanding from my side.
Wonderful. Well said, well said. We cannot, it takes two hands to clap. So you cannot blame the government. We have to be cautious. We have to be protective. We have to wear the mask. We have to be more involved in social distancing. Now, what is your message to the people?
As you rightly said, there is lot of social change, behavioral change is required from the public, and we have to say one word before we end, that we have to learn to live with COVID. There are second waves, there are third waves. We don't know when this pandemic will become zero. So please understand, socially, you must cooperate with all the SOPs that are given by the government. Government is trying its best. Government has spent crores of rupees. I know how much we have spent on Remdesivir in Goa Medical College. So learn to live with COVID. And in that also you can have a normal life. Don't say that COVID is just a common cold, because we have seen the ill effects of COVID. So if you want to stop second wave, third wave, and all those waves, observe SOPs given by collector, take vaccine given by Director of Health Services, and then even after that, you are the unlucky one. We are there to help you. Thank you.
Wonderful, well said. And I think on this note, the message of Dr. Bandekar is that we've got to live with COVID, and also tackle COVID. And on this note, I'd like to thank the panelists for coming here and sharing their views, and thank you all for watching this beautiful debate on the Goan Voice.